finding y-intercepts from a table. All right, so let's take a look. We have the first slide. Now, finding the y-intercept from a table. First, we're going to need to review a little bit how to find slope or rate of change from a given table. Okay, slope or rate of change is the delta y over delta x, or change in y over change in x. So here's an example. Now I know when I went through that on the notes that I gave you last time, you needed to choose two pair of xy values. So you'd have x1, y1, x2, and y2. Then you have the formula y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. You substitute in your information, so y2 is 8 minus y1 of 4. x2 is 2 minus x1 is 1. So you work this out and you would get 4 over 1, which gives you a slope of 4. So that's what you would do to find the slope from a table. You need that information to continue on. So from here, now we're going to find the actual y-intercept from a table. So using that same table of values, we have up here, we have the slope of 4. We're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b and any coordinate from the table and solve for b. So we can at least, let's say we choose the first, we're going to use the x and y here. Write down the slope-intercept equation, y equals mx plus b. You're going to substitute 4 for the slope. Okay, so you can see right here, the 4 took the place of the slope. Then you're going to substitute the point that you chose, which was 1, 4, for x and y. So you can see over here, this is your x, this is your x coordinate, this is your y coordinate. So we substituted over here, we put the 1 in for the x, and we put the 4 in for the y. Now you're going to work it out. So 4 times 1 gave you 4. Bring this down. Now you have this equation. 4 equals 4 plus b. Subtract 4 from both sides. And 0 is equal to b. So your y-intercept for this particular table is 0. So we have a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of 0. So now, once we have the slope and the y-intercept, we are then going to sometimes need to write the equation for the line. So here's my equation, y equals mx plus b. We already know that the slope is 4 and the y-intercept is 0. So you take the equation and you're going to substitute the 4 in for the m and the 0 in for the b. Now that gives you the equation y equals 4x plus 0. Now we don't really need to write that 0. So your equation of this particular line is y equals 4x. All right, so let's continue on. Here's another example. We're going to first find the slope. So finding the slope, remember, I need to choose one pair of xy values, and I'm going to probably stay away from this first pair because I don't want to deal with that negative. So I'm going to choose these second two. So I'll use these two. I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. I'll fill in my y2 formula, minus y1, x2 minus x1. So when I do this, my y2 is 1, minus my y1 is 5. x2 is 1, minus my x1 of 0. Work this out. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. 1 minus 0 is 1. So my slope is negative 4. So that's my m. I'm then going to go ahead and take the slope-intercept equation, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to substitute my m with the negative 4. I will choose one pair of xy coordinates, and I'll use these ones over here, 0 and 5. So 0 and 5 are going to be my, so 0, 5 will be my x and y values that I will substitute into the equation. So y is going to be 5 equals -4. Then in place of the x, I'm going to put the 0 plus b. Work this out. Well, bring down the 5 equals -4 times 0 is 0. Well, if I wanted to subtract 0, I could. But 5 is equal to b. So I've got my slope of -4, and I've got my y-intercept of 5. Now I need to take this information and I'm going to fill it into the formula. So I have y equals mx plus b. So my equation of the line is going to be y equals -4x plus 5. So here I have to first find the slope of the graph from the table. So I got my slope. Then I take that slope and I substitute it into the slope-intercept equation over here, choosing one pair of xy values to then substitute into the x and the y variables in the equation. When I do that, work it out, and it's going to solve for b, which is my y-intercept. I'll then take my slope and my y-intercept, put them together in the equation, y equals mx plus b. So the equation of this particular line is y equals -4x plus 5. And so here, another example. This one's very easy. So sometimes the table is super friendly, and the y-intercept is already in the table, so you don't have to go through all of that work that I just showed you before. Because if you remember, the y-intercept is where x equals 0. So if you can see in this table here, well, this table has an x value of 0, so the y-intercept is 10, right here. Now if I go back to my previous table, doesn't it have an x value of 0? It does. And didn't we figure out that the y-intercept was 5? Yes, we did. I just wanted to use this example so you can see what the process would be if you needed to go through all of this and the table did not give you an x value of 0. Okay? So you have that other option, which a lot of times they give this easy to you, where the 0 is in the x, but other times it doesn't. So we got to be prepared for anything. All right, so the next slide, we'll have a video of another option. Now this one gets a little tricky, but it's up to you. I would suggest to watch it, but I think the first two methods would be easiest compared to this one. Okay, so you watch that video if you would like to. Good luck.